I'm Audrey Brown and welcome to I Believe, You Believe. In the apartheid days, many church organizations were assured of funding from international donors. That has slowed to a trickle with the advent of democracy, but it hasn't dimmed the enthusiasm of people of faith who continue to work in the field, creatively finding money to carry on work. Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman and Charles Kupelwisse show us how.
I'm in South Africa now 30 years, and ever since I came I wanted to help people like old people, poor children, street children, disabled people who cannot help themselves.
I was taken to Mozambique to try to help people in Mozambique, by the Islamic Medical Association. And what I saw there really opened my eyes. I saw young children in a place called Nakala wanting water, and actually dug the ground because there was no water. So they dug the ground, and whatever water was saved from the rain, they took that and they drank that water. There had no food, there was no medical supplies in the hospital. People were operated on, the same instruments over and over again. And people were really in need. And I realized that something has to be done for people. And we sent R1 million worth of aid to the hospital and the people in that area. And from there onwards, it became project after project.
5 ran to this place 1989, and I started with second-hand clothes and small donations. And of course what I do, I invite people from overseas. And whenever people from overseas come here and see the place, they remain faithful to me. And again there's plug. We had one this week, an old couple from Switzerland, Basel. They seemed to be quite rich. They were stranded in Bronkhorstspruit, nowhere to sleep. It was on Friday. So they went to a shop there and said, is there nowhere where we can sleep? And it just happened that the lady in that shop was a Lebanese belonging to our church. And she said, no problem, I phoned. So she phoned me, and she brought the people here. And when they saw the children, when they saw what's happening here, they immediately said, we are going to support this home. So that's, with other words, again, God sends you people in his own way.
We have a contact in almost every mosque in the country. We have people on our fax list. Announcement is made in the mosque. The newsletter is put on the mosque board. And whoever wants to give to a particular cause, after Friday prayer, a sheet is put on the ground and people throw money towards that sheet. And if they like the project, they give it. If they don't feel for the project, they don't give. And in this way, we've raised millions in the last 4 years.
Nobody likes to support a church project, especially not the Catholic Church, because I always hear the Vatican is rich. And they always connect Cisanani with the Catholic Church, forgetting this is my own baby. I started it with, I could say, with permission of the church, but the church said, we distance ourselves. We must never come to the church for money. So it's completely on my own shoulders. And that's a little bit scary, you see, if something should happen to me. That, well, I must look for other means, because we're all getting older. I'm 62 years old. With us, our children here are severely disabled. One fact is that they are black. That is still a problem. People in South Africa and overseas, they don't want to support such children. They say they are useless for society. Some people even told me straightforward, Hitler would have had the answer to these children. He would have gassed them all. And that is actually the crux of my problem.
When I went to Bosnia, I was on the front lines, 300 meters from the Serbs. And there were young children in the army, about 12, 13 years old. And they told me, even if you brought no aid, we never heard of South Africa, they told me quite frankly. We didn't even know there were Muslims in the country. But the fact that you've come from all that distance, we are morally uplifted. We feel great, we are inspired by the fact that you've come and you've thought about us. Even if you don't bring any aid, it is good enough that you've thought of us and you've personally come to see us and you've prayed for us. That gives a.
In Burgersfort, it's a very poor, dry area. And we had a mission station there. And Catholic women were forced to sell, for instance, drugs, alcohol and so on. I mean, the husbands didn't support them. Now they have got 3, 4 children. So what can you do? I mean, you have to support those children somehow. So most of them, they were in jail. Then I realized people who selling drugs and alcohol, they have to work on a Sunday, because that's the time when the men are at home, when they buy, people on the mines and so on. So most of them, they were in jail. Then I said, I can't just tell them, come to church, because the children are more important to a mother than going to church on a Sunday. Then I started thinking, I must put something better in the place of drugs and alcohol. Then I started weaving. And I went with 2 black women to various places in Lesotho, in northern Natal, Rockstrift, Marion Hill in Durban, and to show them what women could do besides selling alcohol and drugs. And when they came back, then called all the other women in the whole area to tell them their experiences, how women in those areas do spinning, dyeing, weaving, how they make an honest living. And by doing that, they turn to God. They have time to go to church on a Sunday. And then the church came on to me and said, you didn't come to South Africa to show the people how to weave and to spin. I said, yes, I did, because that is for me the best means of bringing them to God, which actually happened. And many people from all over, they sent people there to train young women, mainly young women, also some of them old, to learn that trade. And then the church said, I mind that I will never life teach people skills or weaving and all these things. And I refused. And then I was told I must leave the mission immediately. So I left the mission, I took my suitcase, no money, nothing, and went to Swaziland to a friend of mine. And then, after about 2 months being in Swaziland, an Irish bishop from Tsanin, Bishop Durkin, who had special heart for the poor and for my plight, because he had sent girls to be trained. He called me, came to Swaziland, fetched me and said, come and stay with me, because I need such people. So amongst the many bishops in the church, one accepted me as I was.
People felt at one stage we were concentrating a lot on international projects. There was criticism about that. A lot of people did not know that projects were going on in the country itself. Not by me, but by the Muslim community as a whole.
The Chechens have been resisting Russians for more than 450 years.
Presently, we are busy with an international project raising funds for Chechnya, which is one of our hallmarks, as I said, international projects. But locally, we are concentrating extensively on the containerized primary healthcare units. As I said, the first 2 have been put up already, one in Pietermaritzburg, one in Rimfastmark. But from next month onwards, we're expecting 5 to be deployed. One in Alexandra Township. The site is almost ready, the unit is ready. The second one is in Atteridgeville. Once again, the site is ready, the unit is ready for delivery. Then Botshabelo, Pietermaritzburg once again. We're just changing the site around. And the 5th one is for Shushunguvi. This week we went to look at the townships in the East Rand, Katlehong and Tembisa. And there's a possibility that 2 units would come there early next year. Civics have to be spoken to. They are the representatives of the people. There's no way you're going to bypass them. Neither me, nor the government, nor anyone else. So, because these are the official elected representatives of the people. So to follow protocol, and which is only fair, you have to go to these people. And once you bring them in, your work is made much easier. You give them ownership. Of course, these containers don't donate to them. It still belongs to us. But they are responsible for that container, because it's a service to their people which we are bringing together with the health department.
Bronkhorstspruit, a very conservative white community, was hostile to the Catholic Church. Because we had an old priest here many, many years ago. And when he came here, he tried to make contact by playing golf with the people. And they would off the golf course when they saw the priest. So he started to the bar, trying to make contact, because in the bar, more liberal people. They walked away when they saw a Catholic priest. Then I thought, let me do something else. So I started by building a retirement village in town here. It's still there. It's 14 white couples, old people, And of course that changed their whole outlook towards me anyway, maybe towards the Catholic Church too.
There is no strings attached. If people are interested in Islamic faith, well and good. But we don't do the projects for that purpose. Because once again, the Quranic message is very clear. Your duty is to proclaim the clear message. But it's not your responsibility to make anyone Muslim. That is in God's hand.
Look, God, you gave me the idea, and you have to carry it through. It's my simple religious upbringing from my peasant parents, who were like, you just go to church, you give it to him and say, I do what I can, the talents you gave me I want to use. But it's difficult because, for instance, I need now 175,000 rand a month just to run the home.
Because you're raising so much of funds, it's a great responsibility to make sure that one is well used. It's not abused, it's wasted, and in the end the job gets done. Like the hospital. I was stranded for 20 weeks in Bosnia, but I had to get that hospital in because I took public money. And a lot of responsibility and tension, stress comes in with this kind of job.
We are employing at the moment 262 people. That's now in the workshops and the farm. In the home we have 175 disabled children and 90 house mothers, work cleaners and workers. And they report back to me at least once a week. First of all, you have to bring the people to the place, because letters don't help at all. You know, when you get a letter, you just, if you answer it, about 90% don't answer at all. The 10% to answer is about half of them negative. Maybe of the 10%, half of them, they might consider helping.
My wife and my children, it's a great sacrifice on their part. But, you know, because they have the same kind of thinking that I have, the same kind of enthusiasm that I have, it makes life very much easier. It could be a problem if the spouse did not agree with the husband. Then this kind of work would be very, very difficult.
An hour every day I spend with God in the morning. Then I have my simple breakfast consisting of a piece of bread, a bit of jam, which I get from overseas. I get the bread from overseas, I get the jam from overseas. So I don't spend money on myself. And then I start writing letters. And I write them on purpose myself, to have that personal touch.
Ich würde mich natürlich sehr freuen, wenn du deine Kinder selber einmal sehen würdest. Du wirst sie aber einmal im Himmel alles sehen, denen du in so großzügiger Weise mit 1 Million Österreichischen geholfen hast. Du wirst einmal den ewigen Lohn Gott selber erhalten.
I'm Audrey Brown. I wish you a peaceful week. Good night.